So today we're just working through solving for x. Now, as you get into the radical equations, we did a very small amount of this very first section, where it was like 1, 2-step equations, press some buttons on the calculator. Kind of the same idea today. Remember, this is where going back, whenever you're solving an equation, if you have an even nth root, or you have to make sure you do your plus minuses. If it's an odd, it's whatever it is, and it works itself through. Okay. So if I wanted to solve for x here, what's the first thing you're going to do? Add 4. Okay. And then what?
Why are you looking at me?
I believe you had this last time.
No, it was James.
And then what do I do to undo cube rooting?
Oh my God.
Will you stop throwing stuff? I'm serious. It's really getting on my nerves. So the cube root of junk cubed is just junk, and 4 to the 3rd power is. How many times do you need to get up in a period? Jeez.
This is the second time. Oh, next I had to get up for white.
This is taking too much of my energy.
Oh my.
Again, to start with, this isn't all that bad, okay? Not right now. Same thing works when we deal with fractional exponents. Remember, how do you undo fractional exponents? We're going to use their reciprocals. Okay. So if you have 2x to the 3 halves equals 250, work your way backwards. What's the first thing you're going to do? Divide by 2. Good. So you get x to the 3 halves is 125. How do you undo 3 halves power? 3 raised to the 2/3. Good. Remember, because power to power is when you would multiply, and you want this exponent to become 1. Okay. Now, in your mind or in your head here, you should be able to figure out, well, 2/3 power just means take the cube root and square it. What's the cube root of 125? 5 squared is? There you go. Not a lot of brain power. But is it always going to be sunshine and lollipops and fuzzy bunnies and things like that? No. My backyard's gotten like run over by rabbits the past week, it seems. Get shotgun. No. All right, my kids got bow and arrows for Christmas, but I don't think they're ready to be hunters yet. Yeah, we got them a bow. They got bows. Anyway, so as we start to progress this a little bit further, I wasn't even flipping it and I dropped it.
Tally mark on the board.
Are you gonna get a tally?
Oh yeah, I wasn't flipping it, so it doesn't count.
But you still
No,
dropped it.
It has to be the flip.
Is that your mark for the flip?
Yeah, I dropped it. I dropped it 5 times this year.
Every time you drop
What do you do first? Then what? Square it. Okay. Add 7. Now, one of the things that we should start to look into is to start searching if we wind up with what's called an extraneous solution. You guys remember those? Yeah. Extraneous solutions were the ones that were answers, but they're not answers. So it only takes a second just to double check. What's 4 times 4? 16 minus 7 is? Square root of 9 is? Plus 2 is?
5.
So it's easy. That works. take it to the next step. Multiple square roots. There's nothing in this problem that allows me to combine like terms. Because they're not the same. So what I want to do then, can't yet. Move it to the other side. Move one of them to the other side. The one that's negative. Okay. By doing that, you've got a radical on both sides of the equation, which therefore means you should be able to square both sides without doing the hassle. The only trick is when you square the right side, what do you have to worry about that in front of you? You have to square the 2. Okay. Remember, squaring that right side means 2 root x times 2 root x. You're just going to get 4x. Here it's the square root of jump squared, so it's just jump. So it's not terrible. Okay. Now, check it. What's 3 times 2? Plus 2. What's the square root of 8?
Right?
2 root 2.
Oh, yeah.
What's 2 root 2 minus 2 root 2? So it works. Okay. All right. How do I do all what? I'm checking it. All I'm doing is I'm taking that value of x we have was 2, and I just sort it back in the original equation. Okay. Okay. This is where you're going to start to make your mistakes. This is where you're going to start to screw up. I'm just letting you know. Nothing against you. I'm just saying, hey, this is where you start to screw up. What do you have to do? Square both sides, okay? So on the left, you have a binomial that you're squaring. Thank you. You gotta FOIL it out.
I still haven't seen that.
You gotta FOIL it out, guys. So you're gonna get x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 2x. Bless you. Bless you. So far, so good? Okay. Now what do I do? Yep. Subtract 2x over. Yep. What times what is positive 16 that you add together to get negative 10? Very good. Negative 8, negative 2. Gives you zeros at 8 and 2. Very good. Which means you have to check, do they work? Well, if I substitute in for 8, 8 minus 4 is 4. 2 times 8 is, square root of 16 is 4. Okay, so 8 works. Both of them could work. Both of them could not work. Or only one of them could work. 2 minus 4 is, and what's the square root of 4? 2. Did that work? Nope. There's your extraneous solution. It's an answer, but it's not an answer. Okay. That's the idea behind that. You're just going to throw both values in, see if it works. Okay. Okay. I spaced out that +1 to make sure that I overemphasize that it is not underneath the radical. Okay. Which means, what do you think you're going to have to do? Oh, you just killed the puppy. You're on the right track, though. You do have to square both sides, but now this becomes a binomial, doesn't it? Okay. So on the left side, you're going to need more space. Trust me. It took me half a page and I write it thick. Okay. So when I square root of junk squared, it's just junk. So the left side's pretty simple. The right side, you have to FOIL out. Remember, when you FOIL out, when you have junk squared, it's first term squared, so you get 2 minus x. These two multiplied together and doubled. Last term squared.
I'm sorry.
I FOILed that out. Algebra 1. That's what I did.
Wait, how did you get the 2 square root?
Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is all this is, first term squared. That's all that is. It just so happens that the A's and B's look like crap.
Right.
The idea behind FOILing out hasn't changed, just that your binomials in the interior change. The numbers look worse. That's it. Okay. Let's answer. Yes, they do. So on the left-hand side, I'm sorry, the right-hand side, if I combine my like terms here, I'm going to get 3 minus x plus 2 root 2 minus x. So far, so good? Okay. Let's move the 3 and the negative x. How do I move the 3 and how do I move the negative x? All right, subtract 3, add x. Not yet. Divide by the 2 first. Get rid of that the multiplier out in front. If I get rid of that multiplier out in front, because you'll notice both sides, sorry, the left-hand side is also all even. It's real clean. So if I divide it by 2, I'm going to get negative 4 minus x equals the square root of junk. Which then again means, what do I have to do? Square it again. Sometimes you have to square things more than once. This one's going to be a little bit cleaner. On the right-hand side, you've got just the square root of junk squared. Junk. Here, you've got a FOIL. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Negative 4 times negative x. Negative 4 times negative x. You get plus 8x plus x squared equals all that. Now you can set aside equal to 0. Subtract the subtract the 2, add the x. Okay. Subtract the 2, add the x. I'm going to rewrite in descending order, so subtract 2, add the x. I'm going to get x squared plus 9x plus 14 is 0. What times what is 14 that you add together to get 7 and 2? Gives me 2 possible zeros at negative 7 and and -2. All the way back up. Bring this guy down. And we have to check them. Okay. So -7. What's -3 times -7? 21. -5 plus 21 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. So if I use -7, I get 4 over here. Okay. 2 minus -7 is, square root of 9 is, plus 1 is 4. Okay. I do that again with the -2. -3 times -2. -5 plus 6, 1. Okay. If I do that with the -2, I get 1 on the left. -2 minus -2. -2 minus -2. 4. Square root of 4. 2 plus 1.
That is a no.
And that's the idea. They're not awful. It's really, yeah, you're right. It's really easy to make a mistake. You guys have got to remember that when you have junk squared, you got to FOIL it out. You can't kill those puppies, even though they look really, really ugly. Not the puppies, but the numbers. Oh, we got plenty of time to do this one.
Why?
No, there's no X's.
Why did you do this?
They don't mark up the floor.
Oh my gosh, that literally is gonna fall off. It's already starting to come off.
It literally is not disappearing.
It literally is disappearing. The more you walk on it, the more it will disappear. See you walking over there, it's gone.
I have yet to step upon it.
That's not true. You just stepped on some of this.
No, I
now.
didn't. Those were all the dotted lines. What are you going to do first? Square both, bless you. Again, you have to start by squaring both sides. Stuff on the right's easy. Square root of junk squared is just junk. So we have 4x minus 3. Here, we have to FOIL it out. First term squared, bless you, multiply the two of them together, double it. Last term squared. 4 plus 4 root 2x plus 5 plus 2x plus 5. Okay. Boiling that out. Oh yeah, just in case you forgot, the pattern, if this was a minus, it's the same thing, just the middle term is different. It's a negative. Just in case that shows up, in case you forgot. Bless you. Combine your like terms with the stuff on the left. I'm going to get 2x plus 9. Oh, I'm sorry. This was supposed to be a minus 5. My bad.
Yeah, that explains that's
I'm sorry. If you had gotten any further, that was supposed to be a minus 5. I just wrote it down incorrectly. I'm sorry. At least I caught it now before it got really bad. So now, if I simplify my stuff on the left, we'll get, what, 2x minus 1 plus the 4 root 2x minus 5 equals 4x minus 3. Let's move the 2x minus 1 to the right. How do I move it to x minus 1? Well, I have to subtract the 2x and add the 1. So far, divide by 4. So if I divide everything by 4, I get that. All right. Now what? Square it. Okay, I'll do the easy one. Square root of jump squared, jump. Will it change anything if I have to square a binomial that has fractions? Nope. What's 1/2 times 1/2? 4. I get 1/4 x squared. Follow the pattern. Remember, we would multiply the two together. What's 1/2 x times negative 1/2? Negative 1/4. Double it. You get negative half. No, if you're not multiplying by it, you're not multiplying by half, you're doubling. So it'd be 2 times the negative 1/4. So we get the negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 1/2 then becomes positive 1/4. Okay? What are you going to do now to get rid of all of those fractions? Multiply everything by 4. Very good. Just like we did with rational stuff last semester, when you had large equations with fractions in it, get rid of the fractions because they're equal on both sides by multiplying by the least common denominator, if you will. So if you multiply everything here by 4, we get 8x minus 20 equals x squared minus 2x. Mm-hmm. Remember I accidentally had minus 5. I accidentally wrote plus 5. Miss Yule, in that top right drawer, will you toss me an eraser, please? Yeah. Okay. Now it's at something that doesn't look so bad. Set aside equal to 0. Subtract 8x, add 20. What times what's 21? You add together, you get negative 10. Very good. At least the factoring part's easy. Where was that original problem? Oops. Okay. 7 times 2. Subtract 5. Square root of 9. 3 plus 2. Okay. 7 times 4. Subtract 3. Square root. 7 works. Yes, ma'am. I'll probably let you use a calculator. Because a lot of these fractional ones, the ones you have tonight, you've got some pretty gnarly like fractional root stuff that you're gonna want to use a calculator. So I probably let you use it. And then do that again with 3. 2 times 3, 6. 6 minus 5, square root of 1. 2 plus 1. Okay, so the other one's 3. 4 times 3. 12 minus 3. Square root of 9. And like I was saying with the fractional exponent stuff, like tonight you'll have one that looks like this. You're going to want to use your calculators to go through it. If you start thinking about order of operations, what would you do first? You'd subtract the 7. After you subtract the 7, what would you do? You'd divide by -5. After you divide by -5, what would you press in the calculator? To the 2/3 power. And then so as you're going through, it's just a matter of, oops. Let's see, so I would take that -128 minus 7, I'd hit enter. I would divide that by -5, I'd hit enter. Then I go to undo a 3/2 power, I would go to the 2/3, so I would go alpha y equals 2/3. And at this point, I'm at 9 equals -5. Yeah, 5. Okay. That's the idea. You're going to want to use a calculator for a lot for some of this stuff. Yes, sir.
Can we just like the equation like this graph?
No, because you got to show somewhere. Yeah, and think about how long it takes you to go through the table and find that. Because not everything's going to be cool. You're going to be there forever. Because now all your answers are going to be So what I did was I was going through the textbook stuff versus some of the things like we were just doing a minute ago. I wanted to give you guys something a little bit more challenging. You're welcome. You'll probably need some more space, especially for the ones with the double roots like we were doing in class. The ones on the front part here, those are generally pretty quick. So those shouldn't be terrible. Trying to think here. I'd like you to do the odds. I just wanted to have, it's better to have more than not enough. Okay? Knock out the odds. We'll go from there. I think I'm pretty sure I posted this PDF, but numbers are